Good evening. I had a request to show how I did my Shamrock string pull, so that's where I'm going tonight. So, um, for my base coat, I have titanium white and floetrol, and that's about a 1-to-1 mix. And I've also added a little bit of Inca gold into that, so it's just not a super stark white. And so I've mixed them together. It doesn't need a lot because this is not a very big rock. Um, and it runs off not too runny because you do want it to coat the rock. And I've mixed a little bit of Floetrol with some Decoart sour apple and forest green. I'm just going to mix a couple greens together for my 3-leaf shamrock. I also have some 40 weight cotton thread. I've cut pieces off in about, I don't know, 8-inch. I don't know if I'm a good carpenter or not. About 8-inch increments. You can use embroidery floss and then separate the strands. If you, I've also, before I did my first shamrock, I just spread some white paint on a piece of parchment and practiced some string pulls first before I did it on my rock. But it's important that the thread is cotton. If you use nylon thread, it will not absorb the paint, and your string will not be absorbing anything. So I'm going to pour my paint out on my parchment here so I can start soaking my threads. I'm trying to get it so you're in the shot here. I'll move this up. Try and kind of reproduce what I did last time. So it was just kind of a mix and mingle. There really was no science to it. And it doesn't really take a lot of paint because, again, it's kind of a baby rock. Let's see. Of course, the thread's now clinging to my shirt, so you can't see that, but we'll fix that shortly. Of course, if this doesn't work out, then you won't be seeing any of this. Ha. I'll take one of my toothpicks. And I was trying to, in my previous shamrock, kind of make them, you know, a little bit of a kind of a heart-like, just so it wasn't completely rounded, which is why, you know, it also seemed to have a broccoli appearance to some, which wasn't entirely wrong, just not quite the look I was going for. 3, 4, 5, 6 here. And then at the very end, I'll reuse one of my strings for the stem. I'll just save that. All right. So while they're soaking up paint, I'm going to pour this on my rock. Now this is, I don't know, it's a small rock, 1.5 inches maybe, 2 inches tops. I have some, it almost sounds like I'm bragging. I have some big stones, but I tend to work on smaller stones. I work under a magnifying glass when I'm doing hand painting with teeny tiny little brushes. So I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. I watch what other people do on canvases and think, you know, gosh, I wonder how I can shrink that down and do what they do in 30 inches and try to do it on 2 inches. What got me started on this is I saw somebody do a wing pour, and it's like, I want to do that. Okay, well, I've yet to be able to do that, so, I haven't given up on the notion. I've just been preoccupied with other things. So I'm just kind of trying to make sure my little frosting layer here is kind of spread out evenly, even though I'm only, shamrocking the top. Okay, that goes to the side. And let's see, do I want a glove or not glove? Sometimes, if I'm pouring paint, I definitely wear gloves. Sometimes if I'm string pulling, yeah, maybe I won't. Tonight I'm going to. We'll see what happens. So, and so when I did these before, I kind of eyeballed, try to figure out kind of where the middle is, and crossed. You have to let it sit a little bit, let the paint bleed out, and then cross it over and pull up. And that one didn't actually maybe get as much paint on there as I was hoping. I might even redo that one. I've also been known that if I didn't like the way a rock turned out and it was still wet, well, I'll just wash it off and have a do-over. Here we go. I've got it crossed already, and I just feel like touch my glove in the wet paint. And here we go, crossing. I also had used a little pipette last time to kind of suck out the extra paint in the middle. Because you wind up getting extra paint in the middle. But not everybody, you can buy these online. That's where I got mine. Or it can just be part of the, image. This is how we got the broccoli thing going last time. So then I just put the second part of the leaf up, crossed it, let it sit, and then pull down, lift up. So, all right, so just because of how I'm oriented, I'm going to rotate the rock. If it was just me here, I'd probably rotate, me. So I'm kind of crossing the thread first and then putting it down. And I may just go in and make little loops inside to kind of fill in the petal there. Suck a little bit out and then fill it in. I like string pulls, ball chain pulls. It doesn't really suck a lot of paint out, but just that little bit makes a difference. I guess I'll probably wind up leaving this at my local fairy door. All right. Let's see. This one I think I can kind of rotate me. Let it sit, soak, pull. This one's really kind of, well, you're getting the idea, right? But it's kind of, I know my table's level, but it feels like it's running off the side there. But it's like any other kind of a pour. You actually just don't know what you're going to get until you do it. I kind of like that leaf best. So I'm probably going to go in and do some little, maybe some touch-ups on the insides. And there is also the possibility of screwing with something too much, where, you know, you can mess with something too much and regret it later. So, kind of got to know when to give up. If I can rein that one in a little bit. Don't know. It's kind of weird. All right, well, I'm going to have to call it quits because I'm afraid that that'll be the death of me here. So, dip it in. I go here. And drag it off, sort of kind of like a J. And okay, that's that. I'm just going to use a toothpick to orient it a little better here. So, okay, you saw what I did. Go forth and make shamrocks.